welcome a tad late, a dollar short, but this stream is going. Hopefully, you're able to see this. My endless string of bad luck with OBS continues. Last night had an infinite amount of issues. Anytime something updates in OBS, it just bricks everything else, and I don't have the patience that I did maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And due to my lack of health, mentally, physically, when I get frustrated, I get anxious, I get worked up. And yeah, I had to take a nap, which ended up being just sleep for the night, and come back and try this again. I am pretty like worked up. I'm not exactly 100% from the infection I had last month anyway. I think I need to come to the conclusion that 100% for me may never be what 100% for me was 20 years ago. So I can probably shoot for 85% of what, 30-year-old me was experiencing and call that okay enough. But yeah, had quite a bit of anxiety and stress with the situation, trying to have this thing pop off 20 minutes late, half an hour late, and just kind of threw my hands up. And I learned this from doctors that maybe you guys can take this with you. Your gut, your digestive tract, it processes a lot for you. And because I have such physical issues with my digestive system, stress, anxiety, that all messes with each other. If you've had anxiety and had a stomach ache and not really understand why, your body's playing tricks on you. You can be stressed out and have it feel like a heart attack. You can be stressed out and have it feel like diarrhea. Your brain is quite interesting, but yeah, I'm going to try to do this all in one fell swoop. This is me taking the longest way to tell you I'm not feeling great. I haven't gone longer than an hour 20 in a stream since my infection. So we'll see how I feel halfway through this. This is only 25, 26 movies that we'll be talking about, and around the 13, 14, 15 mark. Be prepared for me shutting this down and saying, all right, we'll do a part 2. But we'll play it by ear. And thank you to those of you who were in chat last night. Apologies for having this be late. But perhaps it will only be half an episode, so you could feel not ripped off. I don't know. Crawling Chaos, what's going on? If you notice that the font is new too. So some things happen that I just have no control over. But I kind of like this font better. I don't know if super chats are finally the right color. I know that certain people, if certain dollar amounts come in, it comes in gray with black font, which it's impossible to read on screen. I mean, I can read it here on my end fine, but it's the exact opposite. If I would prefer a chat to be clean, it would be the one that people pay for. And OBS hates me. And I'm sure as hell not giving StreamYard, what are they up to? $50, $60 now for something that, I don't know, I wasn't comfortable paying $25 for 4 years ago. Can we have someone come out and be, limited, 10 hours streaming a month for $20 a month? Can someone be StreamYard light and not be so noticeably not the same? Can Google just do Hangouts again? Because Google owns YouTube and vice versa. They should be able to just have their own thing. But I digest. A fourth drawer down, what's going on? I have to take some of those naps myself. Preaching to the choir. Okay, cool. It looks pretty cool. Yeah. I kind of prefer that font. I would like it to be a little bit thicker, but I'm not touching it. That's for certain. Okay, So to give you an idea of why this stream is happening, during COVID and right around that point, maybe right before it, I started really exploring Korean cinema. And, you know, I think I did a video on the Old Boy trilogy or the Vengeance trilogy, should I say. Um, it's funny. I might like Old Boy the least of those three movies, and it could just be because it gets all the attention. And around that time, um, Parasite came out, and rarely do I root for a movie and it succeeds and wins Oscars. But watching the Oscars that night when Bong Joon-ho won Best Director, like that was incredible. It won Best International Feature, which it was kind of in the bag. But then, that whole experience of Parasite winning Best Picture and that response. Every now and again, the Oscars likes you to think that they're their own little story, and they try too hard every year to make that happen. But that year, that was like the Rocky story for that year, Parasite, winning as much as it did, and it felt good. Then the days and weeks following, people really got mad because they don't like reading. And I'll admit, I am that guy, or I was that guy up until 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. The first movie that really broke through to me was Wild Tales, yet another movie that won Best International Picture. Um, Dark comedy. What's the word for a bunch of different stories in one movie? Shit, I lost the word. But Wild Tales is 6 or 7 little miniature stories within the movie itself. Dark humor. Really enjoyed that, and it was that movie that made me think, oh, maybe I should not be such a shithead about just reading a movie. My thing is when I watch a movie, especially at home, I like to get up, get a drink. I can still hear the dialogue and stretch my legs every now and again. Can't really do that with movies that are in another language because whatever they're saying, you got to be able to read it. It demands your attention. Took me a while, but I got over it. I still would like to watch a foreign language film and be able to get up and get a drink or not have to peek to the living room just to see the TV. That's a me problem, but slowly but surely I started getting over that. And around the time that Parasite won Best Pictures, I went into this, I need to pick up on all of these Korean movies. And there were companies that sent me Blu-rays and stuff. It was really interesting. Is exciting. A couple of companies from across the pond there wanted me to review their movies and sent special edition Blu-rays. It was really exciting. And great movies. It's not like I have a hard time telling you something's good if I don't think it's good. I actually try to avoid saying things like that. But these movies were actually quite solid. And then, the deep, dark part of COVID happened. And life kind of kicked my ass a little bit. And I wanted to go back to my comfort zone of movies that I don't necessarily need to read, but could watch and not entirely pay attention to. Depression is a wild thing. But at around 2020, 2021, I had watched 10 Korean films already, which is a lot for me considering I only started watching movies with subtitles maybe 5 years earlier. So I was taking in maybe 2 Korean films a year, and then kind of hit a wall. But by now, I've now seen in between 20 and 30 movies from Korea. And I have an exposed pad here. By exposed, I mean empty. So if there's recommendations in chat, I will be writing them down. don't know how soon I will get to them. If I had $1 for every time someone suggested something to me and I have not done it yet, um, I'd be Elon Musk. So please don't think any of this is going to be talked about anytime soon. Um, but I think I've spent a lot of time since. I, I I would say that uh, Wild Tales kind of broke the seal, but Parasite really opened the door for me. And since then, I've been going to other language movies. Um, Coffee Table, one of my favorite movies from 2024. Really, really dark comedy. Comedy. I don't know if I would tell anyone it's a comedy, but it's darkly funny. It's ironic. It's quite a good time, as long as you get past the very serious subject matter. Something I like about international films is they don't necessarily go out of their way to end a movie on a happy note, which I feel like American movies, not all, but stereotypically, American movies need to end on a high note. They need to end with a smile, a thing that makes you feel good leaving the theater. International movies, not so much. And you know, I don't know if I would say I prefer that, but I certainly appreciate it. And I like the idea of watching a movie, having a good time, respecting the story, being along with it, and not needing the story to make me feel happy at the end for me to like it. Um, I actually quite um, prefer when a movie proposes an interesting subject that maybe you don't want to think about, or maybe you don't like thinking about. Um, I guess we'll get through that a little bit, but we're just going based on release year here. So let me double check this. Okay, so this is moving. So far, so good. OBS, okay, thank you. So the earliest film I've seen from South Korea is Symphony Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance 2002. It's funny, I've seen a lot of Japanese movies from the 90s. Seems like I go on these little decade sprees where 90s would be pretty Japanese heavy, and I guess 2000s was South Korean heavy. Um, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, that is the first film in the Old Boy trilogy. Um, Park Chan-wook directed. Revenge was never this sweet. A deaf man and his girlfriend resort to desperate measures in order to fund a kidney transplant for his sister. Things go horribly wrong and the situation spirals rapidly into a cycle of violence and revenge. Um, yeah, the other thing, and this I can't attribute to one director. The other thing about American movies, when they show someone like poor, it never really is poor. Like in Child's Play from 2019, like they weren't very financially happy or comfortable, but that apartment they lived in was roomy. Um, Korean movies, when they show poor people, it's people living in a closet, and Parasite really did this well. The poor people huddled up in a tiny room. You don't get that from very many American movies, and I get it a lot of the times for the sake of fitting a camera, getting the dolly in there. There's reasons that you film things that way, but the believability is a category for me, and yeah, you get the dismal situation that these people are in, and a lot of dark humor in that. There's a scene in this where the walls are really thin, and deaf girl making noise to she doesn't speak English. She doesn't speak. She makes noise, and the people next door think that she's having sex and having an orgasm, and they're masturbating to it, and it's it's quite the opposite. It's her in pain. Um, yeah, really, really bleak, ironic, and humorous look that um, there's a lot of that in this movie that um, things that we take for granted and things we I don't know. I wouldn't want to say things we grade on the surface level, but yeah, you dig a little bit deeper, you find out you're masturbating to someone who's in terrible pain. That might cost me AdSense there by saying that, but um, good time. Did I give this 5 stars? I gave it 4.5 stars. Um, I didn't review it. Such a bad letterbox person. I've been trying to keep on top of this. I don't know when I started making sure that I would do a review for every movie I watched, but it's after I watched this, that's for sure. Okay, next on the list, Memories of Murder. This is Bong Joon-ho, the same director as Parasite. The worst of them will stay with you forever. A sadistic serial rapist and murderer of young women terrorizes a small province in 1980s South Korea. To prevent future crimes, 3 increasingly desperate detectives with conflicting methods race against time to unravel the violent mind of the killer in futile effort to solve the case. Yet another movie I gave 4.5 stars to. Sorry, I'm going to lose my voice pretty quickly here. What I can say to people is, if you enjoyed Zodiac, this movie is very similar in a lot of ways. And also keep in mind that this movie came out first. So whatever you feel about Zodiac, Zodiac reminds you of Memories of Murder. There's another movie that has a very similar title that I won't spoil it just yet, but this is a very well-regarded movie, but I have something of a hot take. Bong Joon-ho, I still have yet to see The Host, but I've been taking a lot of his movies in, and yeah, he really is a fantastic filmmaker. Again, this list is based on release year, so it's not by when I watched them. So you're not going to see anything from the 2020s until the end. Next, The Old Boy, directed by Park Chan-wook. 15 years of imprisonment, 5 days of vengeance, with no clue how he came to be imprisoned, drugged, and tortured for 15 years. A desperate man seeks revenge on his captors. Yet another 4.5-star movie. What does a Korean movie need to do to get 5 stars from me is an excellent question. Do I have any of my friends? Yeah, 4.5, 5, 5, 2.5, 4.5, 5, 5. Yeah, so I'm a bit of a stickler when it comes to that, giving that extra half star. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. I would not like I want to choose between the two, but I prefer Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance over Old Boy. Old Boy, when people talk about it, they'll talk about that hallway scene, which is it's gorgeous, it's incredible looking. I think Old Boy is a bit more flashy. There's a reveal in the third act there that kind of knocks you on your ass. And that's all well and good, but I think, there's highs in Old Boy, but I think something like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is a bit more consistent. Granted, it doesn't get to like these 5-star highs that Old Boy does, but it's consistently like really good. Where Old Boy, I feel like if you take away those shiny moments, which there are a couple, and they are spectacular, maybe it wouldn't hold its own in a conversation, but you can correct me on that. These are movies that I really with my dog shit memory, I kind of wish I refreshed myself on even if only the Old Boy trilogy, because when I first talked about these, it was 2020. You had nothing else to do but stay inside and watch movies if you're me. Um, and I powered through that box set. And if anything, like the legend of Old Boy kind of, I don't know, I was expecting, you know, Godfather 2, and maybe that was unfair, but I probably should come back around on all of them. I don't even, I can't even talk. I don't know if I have enough spit in my mouth to keep this going. Next, A Bittersweet Life. I did not grade this. That's really okay. So this was one of the films that was sent to me. Maybe I didn't want to. Maybe I didn't want to bother anyone one way or another. 2005, directed by Kim Ji-woon. When doing right goes very, very wrong, Kim Sun-woo is an enforcer and manager for a hotel owned by a cold, calculative crime boss, Kang, who assigns Sun-woo to a simple errand while he's away on a business trip to shadow his young mistress, Hee-soo, for fear that she may be cheating on him with a younger man, with the mandate that he must kill them both if he discovers their affair. Yes, this, I don't even have my score. Yeah. I watched this 2020, 2021, with a bit of an influence, if you will. I do remember it, but vaguely so. And the fact that I didn't score it, it could mean nothing. It could just be a simple thing that I forgot to do. But me in the present is really bothered by me in the past. Sure, I watched it 5, 6 years ago, but man, I could have used the heads up from me in the past. Yeah, my memory's dog shit. I'm not going to try to talk about this movie because I'm remembering him in a car and parked by a building. There are key details about this that I just absolutely do not remember. So this is kind of like doesn't technically count because I have no notes on it for myself. That's really, really frustrating. I do think I enjoyed this. If I have my master list here. Yep, no score on the master list. Bad job, Sipo. Bad job. Okay. I don't think there's a film on here that I would not recommend. There's a movie that is most recent in my memory that I have feelings for, but I don't remember feeling that for A Bittersweet Life. I would say I'd go back and watch this again, but I don't have that Blu-ray anymore. I am a terrible human being. Times got tight around then. Next, Lady Vengeance, yet another Park Chan-wook, and this is a full 5 stars for me. This is my favorite movie of the Vengeance trilogy. All she wanted was a peaceful life. They didn't give it. Released after being wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for 13 years, a woman begins executing her elaborate plan of retribution. Yeah. Listen, if you want to talk about Citizen Vigilante, if you want to talk about Falling Down, John Wick, all of that shit, I would tell people to watch something like Lady Vengeance. At least you're with the character's motivations and you're kind of understanding of things. I remember when I reviewed this, I was unsure of certain visual cues and if they meant the same thing in South Korea that they do in the US, and having watched a couple of 100 movies since then, I think it's just a genuine film knowledge, an homage to Godfather. Uh, while they didn't use an exact orange, they did use an orange ball. If you know what you know about Godfather and oranges, I didn't mean to spoil that for you. Very good movie. If you've only seen Old Boy and not Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and or Lady Vengeance, I like Lady Vengeance the most of the three. I think this has everything. It's not quite as bleak as Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. It's visually on par with, if not a little bit more appealing to me than Old Boy. And yeah, I just prefer this more. And I think it's really solid. Um, you know, characters are flawed. All of the characters in the Vengeance trilogy are flawed. But her character seems to be the one that you most um, can relate to and understand. And the steps that she takes, and like, you're kind of rooting for her. However, um, inappropriate or questionable the things that are happening are. Yeah, really, really fantastic movie. I should keep track of movies that I would like put at the top and say, if you're going to watch a film that you need to read. Um, as of right now, Lady Vengeance is probably at the top, especially people have heard of Old Boy. I don't know very many people talking about Lady Vengeance. And by that, I mean in my circles, in my film bro, dude bro, we only talk about horror and superhero shit. Not many people talk about Lady Vengeance. I'm sure it's talked about in other circles. I like being something of a Venn diagram and kind of dipping my toes into other parts of the internet and seeing, okay, I'm wrong. The circle that I'm in is a little ignorant to this, but of my awareness and what I've surrounded myself with, not many people talk about Lady Vengeance, and it's something of a shame. Not saying that Old Boy doesn't deserve the attention. I mean, it's kind of tainted by the fact that Spike Lee did a remake, and while Spike Lee's Old Boy is a bit more visually stimulating, um, not my favorite remake. I have yet to watch Highest to Lowest because I have not seen High to Low or the original. So Spike Lee did another remake of another Asian film, and it's called Highest to Lowest. Denzel Washington's in it. I want to watch the original first. I messed up and watched Spike Lee's Old Boy prior to the OG Old Boy, and boy, does that ruin the reveal. That could be the reason why I'm not quite as high on the original Old Boy. Spike Lee ruined the original Old Boy for me. I'm not saying that with too much conviction, but there's a chance. There's a chance that happened. Are you guys still getting this? Am I dropping in and out? It says I'm dropping frames. Can you hear me fine? Can you see the image fine? Does anyone have a pulse? 4 frames, 8 frames. Vibe check. Am I still alive? Vinby. Okay. All right. So no one's watching. If you're hands away from the keyboard and you're masturbating to my voice, think about what you're doing right now. That's all I'm going to say. Um, Seems fine on my end. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. See, Adam's not touching himself silly to me. We know one of you is. Good to me. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's not that much not that much visual stuff happening. So if I drop a frame or two, as long as you could see the image and it's just me. Hello. Man, you guys jump pretty quick. Oh, there is a delay, so I should factor that in. And it is OBS and yeah. Well, I'm still my head canon is because you guys aren't chatting. You guys are busy touching yourself while I talk about movies that I barely remember. I mean, some of you could be washing your dishes listening to me. That's fine. But we know what the real deal is. Adam says, at least not right now. Yeah, you're waiting for that money shot when I start talking about Parasite. I get it. I get it. Listen, there's quite a few people I would touch myself to talking about movies, but I am not at the top of the list. All right, let me stop being gross. Lady Vengeance. I don't have an exact list of how many I would say, but Lady Vengeance is something that you should go out of your way to watch. That's first one in the basket. Maybe we'll drop it down to 3, maybe 5, but Lady Vengeance definitely, because 25 movies, 26 movies I've watched. This is in the top 20%. Lil Doms says, I've given all these 5 stars so far. Old Boy is my favorite of all time. And there's another example. Yeah, I'm going to stick by my defense that watching the American version first has tainted any sort of appreciation. So don't blame me, blame Spike Lee. Which I don't mean for it to be that way. I quite retroactively appreciate a lot of his work. I only saw Malcolm X for the first time a year or two ago and really, really enjoyed that. This isn't a hit piece on Spike Lee at all. 25th Hour. Oh, that might be my favorite Spike Lee movie. That's something of a hot take. Next. Oh, good. A nice happy movie for me with all of my depression and PTSD. This was suggested to me. I think I bought this around that time, that 2019, 2020 time. You know, back when I had money to frivolously spend on movies and shit. I picked up the Secret Sunshine, the Criterion Blu-ray. I no longer have that. Don't know why I sold all my Korean shit first, but it wasn't first. But anyway, I wasn't prepared for what this movie was. Part of the reason that it's probably no longer here is don't know if this is a movie that me, with all of my mental health struggles, needs to watch a handful of times, if twice. But here's the rundown. Shin Ai moves into her recently late husband's hometown. Despite her efforts to settle in this unfamiliar and too normal place, she finds that she can't fit in. After a sudden tragedy, Shin Ai turns to Christianity to relieve her pain. But when even this is not permitted, she wages a war against God. I gave this 4 stars, despite having a difficult time with it. It's not that this movie hit too close to home, but if you're depressed, this is not a movie to watch. Just plain and simple. Some of it is, listen, it's a good time. I give it 4 stars. By good time, I mean good film. This isn't a date night movie. This isn't a I'm bored. Let's kill some time. This is a, maybe things are going a little too well. Let me get myself grounded a little bit and get brought back to earth. That's what this movie is. If things are going too well for you, and maybe you need a little slap in the face, Secret Sunshine, probably a good movie for that. Um, yeah, she's a widower. She moves to this small town. Um, the funny thing is, she screws up. I don't remember how she's financially comfortable, but she is. And this tight knit town where everyone knows everyone's secrets. Um, she's a little loose with her money, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a little off putting to the people in the town where she just kind of like throws money at shit. And I just remember like there are scenes where they show her. I forget, like just being a little comfortable, being a little too financially comfortable. Turns out someone finds out and takes her son hostage and demands a ridiculous amount, of which she's able to get in cash. Which that alone is I don't know if it'd be offensive to everyone else in the town, but whatever. Yeah, without spoiling anything, she gathers the money to pay for her kids, the kidnapper to return the child. And there's not much of a secret. It's not like a big reveal when you find out who has taken the child, but without going into spoilers, her story gets worse. Yeah. And that's when she decides to turn to God. She goes to church, again, in this very tight-knit town where everyone knows each other's secrets. And through church, I believe it's Christian church. I realize there's multiple denominations of Christian, Catholic, Protestant. Like I don't know the different little categories, so please don't jump on me for that. I was raised Catholic. I thought it was all, yeah, Jesus. We all believe in Jesus and all that stuff. But I plead ignorance, so please, if I have it wrong, she goes to a church where a cross is in the front. That's the Jesus church, if I'm not mistaken. But in these moments where she goes to church, she's able to like release and like finally, I don't know, mourn or like let out the pain she's feeling, and a lot of that is relatable. I certainly a lot of that resonated with me, but it's still a trek of a movie. It's emotional. I don't know. It's like getting through that movie is like trying to walk through mud with sneakers. You're gonna have a hard time. It's a bit much. It's a bit heavy. Um, it might be cathartic. I'm not saying it's not. My own personal shit. I might be able to be okay with this movie because of the subject matter, but I would imagine some people just not being able to go through this. I get that. Let's see if my friends. 4.5 stars from Ian. Yeah, it's solid. What does? Oh, I'm in the way. 4.1 as far as the ratings. 397 fans. I don't know if that means ratings or fans. There's not very many ratings below 2 stars there. Looks like 4 stars is the average, and it's a 4.1 on Letterboxd. If things are going too well for you, and you need to come back down to earth. Maybe give Secret Sunshine a whirl. Oh, oh boy, we're gonna get stuffy in the recommend in the tippy top column. I know for a fact I gave this 5 stars. I want to rewatch this and redo my review, which means I will not do either. The Chaser, directed by Na Hung Jin. The Hunter and the Hunted, the ultimate chase begins. Jung Ho is a dirty detective turned pimp who's in financial trouble as several of his girls have recently disappeared without clearing their debts. While trying to track them down, he finds a clue that the vanished girls were all called up by the same client, whom one of his girls is meeting with right now. Anyone else watch this? 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars. Yeah, this, I really, really like this movie, like a lot. 5 stars. I think I like The Chaser more than I like Lady Vengeance. This goes in a couple of different directions, and I'm here for it. It's a little serious with the gore. Like it's along the lines of like Seven and Saw. There's like heavy duty gore in moments where I feel like you could probably remake this movie without the heavy duty gore. But again, if you're like watching something like Seven, which there's heavy duty gore in there, really, really fantastic movie otherwise. Chaser, very similar. I think Lil Dom says I also really like The Chaser. Yeah, it's currently at the top of my you should probably watch this. Normally running scenes always feel silly to me, but there are running chase scenes in this movie that I don't know, they just work. People wiping out, like you could tell that these people really wiped out. I wonder if they just like left that take in there because it looks very, very real. You never really put much, I don't know, much value in like chase scenes unless they're like, in like sports cars. Like they got to be doing 150 miles an hour for you to really appreciate it. But dudes running after each other, like really, really kind of impressive how action packed it still feels with just 2 dudes running at maybe 7 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, maybe more. I think I'm being a little too harsh, but story takes a couple of turns, and this pimp he's going after these people for one reason. The fact that he used to be a detective is hysterical because there's elements that, a good detective would kind of figure certain things out, but he's a corrupt detective or was a corrupt detective. And he's just going after these guys because his girls were stolen. Little does he know that his girls weren't stolen, but he's going to go try to either get his money back or his girls back or show down with the guy that's stealing his girls. And one of the girls' daughter is in her home, and then she's kind of a stowaway there where he's stuck dragging the daughter around. And I feel like different movies could really screw things up with the kid dynamic. And if anything, I went from being really cautious, really skeptical of that dynamic to really being won over by it. And like I said, Korean cinema, they aren't the greatest with happy endings. And, some people could probably say they probably go a little too hard with the fuck you endings. Could be the case here. But man, it's just really real. Um, I think I like it. No, I don't think. I do like it when stakes are in the movie and there's loss that happens that like it doesn't feel for nothing. They've got you feeling a certain way for these characters, and when we lose a character, it hurts. Like it feels like a big deal. It's not a horror movie where, oh, the pothead guy got killed within the first 10 minutes. I I don't care. He said that funny thing in the beginning. Okay. Next. Um, these movies are different. You have people that um, there's some sort of investment in them being all right, some sort of investment in them being saved, and these movies or the ones I've seen, they basically tell you, yeah, that's not the way things work. Um, this isn't a movie, even though it is a movie. American movies would be like, everything's fine. All right, see you next time. We're gonna have 5 sequels, by the way, because that's this made money and that's all that matters. Um, Not everything works out in this movie, and the third act is wild. You get some um, you get some sort of release, but it's not cathartic. Well, it could be catharsis, but it's not perfect. And I think that's what's great about a lot of these movies. Of our run here, Chaser 1, Lady Vengeance 2. If you haven't seen them, amend that. Next, Thirst. This was covered in the Autop Stream ranking 2024, 2023. Creatures of the Night, where we did vampires and werewolves. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. Park Chan-wook again. It seems like I get these directors and then just basically watch their filmography. Lusting after sinful pleasures, a respected priest volunteers for an experimental procedure that may lead to a cure for a deadly virus. He gets infected and dies, but a blood transfusion of an unknown origin brings him back to life. Now he's torn between faith and bloodlust and has a newfound desire for the wife of a childhood friend. Yeah. Don't tell me that vampire movies aren't lusty and sexy, because this movie, got the memo. Um, some There's some lusty sex scenes in this, and it's a priest, which makes it that much weirder. But yeah, really, really, really solid. This is my first foray into Korean genre movie, I guess. What did my friends think of this? Brian, 4 stars. See, that makes me feel good that even Brian, we're kind of like this when it comes to not like this, but like this. We're on opposite spectrum ends of the spectrum sometimes. But the fact that he at least gave it the same score I did, he can have problems with it. Fine, whatever. 4 stars all around. Who's this one? And Roger saw it, did not give it a score. Miss you, Roger. Yeah. So if you want deeper thoughts on Thirst, I don't remember where I ranked it. I want to say top half. But in the Creatures of the Night video, I explain a little bit further, and it's fresher in my head at that moment. So I'm kindly going to suggest that you help me out while you're done clicking like on this video and commenting on this video and subscribing if you haven't, going over to the Creatures of the Night video and hearing what I have to say about that, and then clicking like and commenting there. I'm doing good at marketing. Oh boy. Next, The Housemaid, directed by Im Sang-soo. That poster is deceptive. That poster makes this movie look trashy. I'm sorry, this poster is like if Lifetime just started to not give a fuck anymore. That is a few frames away from head. Synopsis: when opportunity knocks, answer at your own risk. Yun Yi is hired as a maid in a mansion owned by a wealthy businessman. He quickly starts seducing his employee, who seemingly has little choice but to comply with his sexual advances. Soon the woman of the family plot against Yun Yi must fight an equally devious battle to protect herself. And yes, Adam, that's my point exactly. Adam says that poster makes it look like a cheap porno. And trust me, it really isn't. I'm not saying that there's not like a lusty sexual angle to it, but the movie's better than that. I don't know if that's what you need to draw in people, who just want to watch smutty romance, then fine. I guess do what you got to do to trick people. But me, if I saw that poster before seeing it, I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't need to watch Skinemax. Thank you very much. And it isn't that. It really isn't. Has anyone else watched this? No. That's a shame. But if I'm not mistaken, I might have it wrong. Is this a remake of the 1960 film? The thing I've noticed about my limited experience with Korean movies is there's a lot of overlap in titles. A movie that I have not seen is called A Taxi Driver. There's another Korean film called Taxi Driver. We have an American film called Taxi Driver. There's a movie that we discussed earlier, Memories of a Murder. There's another movie that we will be discussing, Memoir of a Murderer. It's very, very difficult for someone like me who's trying to keep track and separate and things like that. Scott is saying yes. I do think this is a remake, and I've messed up. I do own the 1960 version. Have not watched it yet. I'm hoping that this stream kind of kicks me in the ass to do that. Not making any promises. I'm so behind on everything. But I've had the 1960 version for a while now. I really enjoyed this movie. 4 stars from me. It's been a while. I cannot stop focusing on the fact that poster is just so unfair. I remember when what was the Sydney Sweeney movie with is it also called The Housemaid? I thought that was a remake of this, which is I guess a remake of the 1960 movie. I'm not sure if it's called The Housemaid or if it's something else. There's another Korean movie that we'll get to in a little bit that very similar in its titling. Not quite the same, but about a woman who's a servant of the house. That, the Sydney Sweeney version, a little bit different. Won't get into that. This movie is good. Don't let the trashy poster deceive you or fool you. I feel bad that I do not know the source material. We'll probably get around to that. But it's an interesting movie. It's a drama, a thriller. It's hard to say one thing while the poster says something so different. Really, really rich people and housemaid trying to fit in. And, I think to combat the poster, there are moments in this movie where A different filmmaker would really lean into um, the sex appeal. And another movie we'll get to later, something about cinema that I've noticed, at least in Korean cinema, um, they're a bit more conservative with how they dress, even in movies. Um, in a different director's hands, they could really um, exploit and lean into the male gaze. You know, like a simple moment of a housemaid leaning over to clean something, and up her top is open a certain way so that you're wearing a red bra. Um, in someone else's hands, they you know get really close to that and do things. If anything, um, we see things from her end where the dude, like this poster here, he's topless and fucking chiseled. Oh, by the way, he's fantastic at playing the piano as she's in awe there on this image here. If anything, it's kind of like this guy's rich. He's cut to fuck, and he's really good at art. Um, I if you're expecting something like Basic Instinct, no, no, that's Scott says infidelity thriller in an isolated environment. Yeah, you're all in this mansion, this very very upscale house with its fucking piano room in it. Park Chan Wook is a master of that. We will get to that. Um, the best version of that, but yeah, I don't know if I have a stereotype about Korean cinema based on 20 plus movies over the last 25 years, but um, you know, if this were Skinemax, if this were, a bit dangerous end of the lifetime type movie, it wouldn't play as well. Oh, next, yet another thing that I'd like to redo. Bedeviled, who would like that covered movie that I hate everything about the video. No one's watching it anyway, so it almost has no reason to be reshot. I don't even think it's at 700 views yet, but which is something of a shame. Every now and again, the who would like that videos, there's spells. The Solo video gets a couple of thousand views every now and again. The Irreversible video comes around. Right now, Mois has been kind of the most consistent heavy watch recently. Bedeviled, I can't get people to watch it, and I kind of prefer that. It's another reason why I'd like to redo it, because recorded that surrounded by boxes and in this temporary state that I was in. Kind of still am in, but a bit more comfortable here. Anyway, Bedeviled, a revenge story, not unlike I Spit on Your Grave. Not completely like it, but same neighborhood. Nothing is more deadly than a woman seeking revenge. A disillusioned soul woman visits a remote island to reconnect with a childhood friend, only to find her trapped in an impressive cycle of physical, mental, and sexual abuse. As tensions escalate, the situation spirals into a harrowing tale of survival and retribution. 4 stars from me. Anyone else? 3.5 stars from Skulder. Once again, Roger watched it, did not grade it. Come on, Roger. Yeah. Pretty brutal. Once again, there is a full review by me that I do not stand by it. They're my notes when I watched it back, traveling back and forth between the U.S. and the U.K. Constant state of temporary. I think I reviewed this 3 months after being evicted, so I just don't like anything about my headspace in that review, and no one's watching it anyway, so it's all the more reason to recover it. Um, you can go watch that if you want a little bit more about it, but I would much rather watch Bedeviled than any other um, grape revenge movie. I hate saying that. I spit on your grave. You know what? I recently watched Revenge for the first time, the Corley Forget movie. I might like Revenge more than Bedeviled, but it's an interesting conversation to have. And at the very least, this is kind of criminally underseen, but it's a bit extreme. There's lots of gore, lots of effects. Uh, there's a couple of things that may not be kosher for some people. There's the relationship between the husband and wife might be a bit much to go through. Abuse is the cleanest way I can put it. There's emotional abuse, physical abuse, and at some point she finally has it. But there's a bit more to that movie than that. If I've learned anything about like little tiny gathering of people between this and Secret Sunshine, people need to spread out and talk to other people. Seems like when you only have like 10, 15 people that only talk to each other, man, they get like a fucking some nefarious shit happens between them. This island of people. They pick the person to bully, and it's her. So, yeah, you could probably do better than this, but it still should be in the conversation. I think, especially with, disturbing media, because it's disturbing. It's not for everyone. There is assault. There's lots of things in this movie that abuse. Some people aren't cool with that. I get it. It's definitely all over this movie. So yeah. What's up, Dennis? Damn, Roger. She's 1 more month and it'll be 2 years. Yeah, dude. Time doesn't make sense to me. Like it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, September. It does not make sense. There are times that I forget, that there are certain people that aren't here anymore, and I don't know. I feel like last week I was 10, and that's not the case. Yep, yep. Just can't pick up the phone and call people like that anymore. We miss Roger. That's for sure. My YouTube daddy. Next, The Man from Nowhere. This might have been another Blu-ray showbox thing that they sent me. 4 stars. Lee Jung Byum. Nothing to lose, nothing to compromise. A reclusive pawn shop owner goes on a brutal rampage to rescue a young girl kidnapped by a criminal organization. Dennis, you gave this 4 stars. Help me with a bit more of the synopsis. Are you still here? And once again, Roger, no score. Dude, Roger gives like 5-star ratings to things that I would struggle to give 3. There's so many conversations after the fact that I would really like to have. I would like to base a series just off Roger's letterbox scores because they're fascinating. Okay. All right. Dennis is saying Man from Nowhere is a must-see. Why? Why is it a must-see, Dennis? What's in it that that people would be drawn to it for. Action, drama, uh, good character. I realize I'm doing this on a delay, so I'm trying to buy time as much as I can. It's weird. I gave this a score, but I didn't give the other movie that I was sent a score. And show your activity. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I marked it as watched. I did nothing else. What a jerk. Man, me from the past is shitty. Why won't me from the past think of me from the future, otherwise known as me from today? Dennis says, it's a really good revenge flick, and others movies have takes inspiration from. Pretty sure there's a US remake coming too. Oh. Okay. Yeah, and he's just protecting a girl throughout the movie, right? I mean, it says that in the synopsis. Yeah. My apologies for not having more, but thank you, Dennis, for filling in the blanks here. Revenge flick. The Koreans like revenge, or of what I've seen. I don't know if it's my recommendations or what people like. Oh, CP likes Korean revenge movies. Here. Oh boy. I Saw the Devil. Yet another movie that should be a who would like that. Just never got around to it. I think I saw this right around the 2021 through 2023 hazy part of my life, where things were both way too fast and hard to keep up with, and not anything I'd like to go back and keep notes of. 4.5 stars for me. Kim Ji-woon. I would like to do this at some point, but that means setting down and watching it again. And Dennis says, "Oh boy, is right. From one great to another." Yeah, no, I saw like 4.5 stars for me. I even gave 4. Ouch! I even gave 4 stars to the other one. I just there are pockets of my memory that are just erased. But this I do remember. The guy from Old Boy is in it. The opening scene, I was like, hey, him, I know him. This movie also feels a lot like Seven in a couple of ways, but it's gnarly. Let me read the synopsis. Abandon all compassion. Kyung Chi is a dangerous psychopath who kills for pleasure. Soo Hyun, a top secret agent, decides to track down the murderer himself. He promises himself that he will do everything in his power to take vengeance against the killer, even if it means that he must become a monster himself. Scott says, "What are you taking the half star off for?" Dude, I for me to say 5 stars, it's I need to watch it a couple of times, and after 2 or 3 watches, I'll gladly give that extra half star. I think I've booked 1,500 plus Letterboxd movies. I have less than 50 5-star movies. It's a high. You're basically saying this movie's perfect. So I need to see it a couple more times, but I have it's my soft ceiling with potential for going higher. I have no other excuse. Storm Shadow is absolutely great in Devil. Yes, from G.I. Joe. 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, Dennis. I like this more than you do. Lots of 4.5s. And Roger, once again, with no score. But he'll give 5 stars to something like, I don't know, fucking Happy Gilmore 2. I don't think he was alive for that. I'm being silly. He gives some interesting scores, but he doesn't to these movies. Gory, serious, gnarly. Again, for every 1/7 that there is in the US, you can maybe compare Saw to it. You can maybe compare Zodiac. Same director, David Fincher. America kind of doesn't do movies that would be in the same conversation as Seven since. But holy fuck, South Korea, excuse me. I don't know. Are there very many North Korean films that are out there for us to see at least? South Korea, since 2000 at least, or 2002, whenever I started watching them, there's at least 5 to 10 of these movies I've watched. I've only watched like 25 of them that I would say, oh man, this feels kind of 7-y. Not in any like specific manner, but like, you know, if you wanted something similar, not exactly the same, but similar, I Saw the Devil is, man, it's another reason why I love Korean cinema. It's another reason why I love international movies because, you know, American movies need to have a good guy. You need to have a good guy and a happy ending. And, you know, I get it. Movies are supposed to be an idealized version of, you know, what we can thrive to be and what we should try to be. But that's just not the way it is. The real world just isn't like that. And a lot of international movies are like, hey, someone kidnapped your daughter and now they're no longer with us. What would you do? And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to save the day. I'm sorry. I'm going to drop down to this jerk's level and, you know, we're going to play rough. And, you know, I think there's catharsis in that. I don't want to have a happy ending in something like that. Catharsis can be something that isn't happy. I don't know. I probably swing a couple of different ways on how I feel about this, but brutal subject matter, gnarly, not for everyone. I'm probably going to have to convince myself to make this a Who Would Like That video, but the most recent performances, Coffee Table didn't do well. Bedeviled didn't do well. Lilia Forever is actually a slow moving, okay experience. I think that's right around 1,000 views. See, the thing about my Who Would Like That series, they're not big up front, and it's hard to judge them. But there's like this steady thing. Like I said earlier, Baise Moi is something that's 5 years old. That video, but around, you know, now, it's one of my better performing videos on a regular basis for now, at least. I don't know if something happens in the news where it's covered, but Lilia Forever gives me a little bit of optimism. We'll see how that does. If maybe we're at, I don't know, 2,000 views by the end of the year, maybe I'll restore some faith in the Who Would Like That series. But this is definitely a movie I would like to cover for that. Pay attention, everyone. Dennis says, I don't give half stars and I don't have very many 5s either. See, we don't want to give the 5s out like candy. Troy says 4.5 is fair. Thank you, Troy. I want it to be special is what I want, damn it. And again, usually 4.5 means I've only seen it once or twice. I gave 4.5 to Obsession. It's now a 5. I've watched Obsession 3 times. Project Hail Mary, 4.5. I'd like to see it again. I do give fives, but like I want to be sure. Fives are not something I'd like to fuck up with. I can fuck up with a 0.5 and be like, all right, it's a 1.5. But fives, you know, this is serious business here. This is me saying, yeah, no notes, flawless. I saw the devil I saw the devil as one that comes very close to a 5 for me though. Well, yeah, I just did all that work and now you're undercutting it. Confessions of Murder. This one I saw not recently, but somewhat recently. 3 stars for me. 2012, directed by Jung Byung-gil. He'll Kill to Be Famous. Yes, this is the television series thing, right? Where he's on a news channel or something. A serial killer reappears 15 years after his murder spree with a book detailing his crimes. The resentful cop who failed to catch him before is assigned to protect him. The families of the victims plan revenge, and as the media circus spirals out of control, a masked man called Jay appears to be claiming to be the real killer. Lots of murder titles. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it's what's being suggested to me or like the algorithm saying, "Oh, you like this, you'll like this." Lot of murder, lot of maids in my if you were to just judge me based on the Korean movies I've seen, it's like, oh, murder and maids. What's there are other movies to watch. You know that, right? But yeah. Nothing? Oh, no one else has seen this. What am I supposed to do with myself? Okay. I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's a spoiler or what, but plastic surgery is an element of this. I remember the opening of this more than anything. I gave it 3 stars, which is kind of soft for me. I cannot remember details of this. Yeah, 3 stars. I don't know how deep we are into this list so far, but it's on the lower end of what I've covered. Granted, a lot of the movies I've covered so far are like must watch. Like if you're going to call yourself a film fan, you probably should watch a lot of these. I don't know if Confession of Murder, if you miss it, I don't know if anyone's gonna be like, oh, how dare you? I am losing my voice. Troy says, first one on the list, I don't believe I've seen as well, unless it's just that forgettable. Yeah. Yeah. I would hate to rewatch it and be like, oh, this is why I give it 3 stars. 3 stars or stars. 3 stars from me is like, yeah, it's well made, but usually when something's okay, 3.5 is my score for, yep, this is worth your time. 3 is like, all right, there's things that work here, but you could probably avoid it. Scott says, lower end Korean movies are better than your average American of the same genre. I would agree with that. A Company Man. Another 3 stars from me. Directed by Lim Sang-yoon. Fight before being fired. A contract killer becomes disenchanted with his line of work and spares the lives of his 2 latest would-be victims. But the assassination company he works for has no intentions on letting him quit. Nope. 100? What's 100? What's 100? Did I miss something? Oh, is Dennis agreeing 100% that lower tier Korean movies are better than average American movies of the same genre? Is that what 100? 100 P. Is that what Dennis is saying there? Or is that his score for this? 100 out of 5? I hate the delay. I'll say that. I'm trying to think, is this the, like, I blend a lot of these together. Like, mid agreed with the comment. Right. I took me a while, but I kind of figured it out. I feel like this is the movie. It's one of the two. I got to be right at some point. This is the movie where he's in a car in the beginning, in the first act somewhere. See, if I had done this, if I had left myself a review, what's my activity say? Nope, just marked it as watched. Me from the past hates me from the present. That's we've come to that conclusion. I don't know if this feels like one of. It seems like the movies that were sent to me were movies that were okay. You know, if you're sending little old me movies to talk about, maybe it's not on the level of Old Boy. And I have no I have no inflated ego about who I am and what this audience is. But usually people who make great stuff, or you know, trying to promote something great, don't reach down to my level to get some attention, some help. Yeah, I really regret not doing any sort of review work for this. Extremely frustrating. 3 stars on the lower end. I can track some sort of familiarity here with stuff that was sent to me, and stuff that someone recommended me. There's a bit of a difference. There's like a full star difference between someone saying, "You should watch this," and "Hey, we're going to send you this thing. Can you talk about it?" Project Wolf Hunting or the Roundup series on the list? No. I'll write them. The Roundup series. How many movies is Roundup series? Project Wolf Hunting. Okay. Apologies for not giving this its flowers, but 3 stars from me, which I didn't give it 3.5. That's so you know my grading system. 3 stars, perfectly proficient, not a must see. Snowpiercer, 3.5 stars. Bong Joon-ho. Would you really call this a Korean movie? I mean, it's Bong Joon-ho. Wasn't this kind of wasn't this the same situation as Mickey 17, where it's just a mutually produced film? Anywho, 2013, Fight Your Way to the Front, a future where a failed global warming experiment kills off most life on the planet. A class system evolves aboard the Snowpiercer, a train that travels around the globe via a perpetual motion engine. Roundup is Ma Dong Suk. Soak? Fuck. Don Lee. I'll say Don Lee instead. And there's 4 and a 5th on the way. Okay. I wrote it down. I wrote down both Project Wolf Hunting and the Roundup. 3.5 from me. I might be on the low end here. Yep. 4, 3.5. 5 from Luke. Peace. 4, 4, 4.5. Brian gave it 4.5. Dennis with a 4. All right, so I'm on the low end here. Yeah, this back when I saw it when it came out, my ex at the time was really interested in this, and 2013. So we're pre 2016 America at this point. I remember feeling like it was a little heavy handed. I didn't hate it. 3.5 is just about recommendable from me, but I did enjoy like the visual differences. Like the movie's like charcoal gray and dark in the beginning. It's just again, Koreans make poor look poor, as opposed to American poor looks like lower middle class, not poor. Korean poor is desperate. It's interesting that the way they do this. I mean, it's essentially the planes. If you get into a plane, first class is in the front. The way that the visuals of the different parts of the train slowly get more color, and at a certain point, they're just like over vibrant and just ridiculous and somewhat cartoonish. I enjoyed that, but I don't know. I feel like if this movie came out today, I'd be like, all right, yeah, well, they're talking about stuff today. But yeah, Adam says Snowpiercer's good, but it's basically Hunger Games on a train. Sort of. It does. It does do the world's fucked, and look what we're doing. I don't hate it. It probably could use a rewatch from me to get you into my mindset. My ex did really like Hunger Games, and that might be a connection there. It was very hyped up to me heading into this, and it was okay. I was Chris Evans. How many Captain Americas was he in by this time? I remember feeling like I'd like the lead to be someone else. And I don't know why that was, but I don't know. The fact of them riding on a train, I get it. It needs to keep moving, otherwise they'll freeze. There's parts of it that I just couldn't like completely get on board with. There's also a TV show for Snowpiercer. I have not watched an episode for it. It's condensing our society and saying who or rich classes we'd collapse. This is right before or around Winter Soldier. Yeah, I don't have an answer as to who I would replace Chris Evans with to make this movie a bit more palatable, tolerable for me. But for some reason, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's heavy-handed because it really isn't. It's just something that I feel like you could have had the subtext be a little bit more sub. It's not exactly text in the movie either. It's just it's certainly better than some stuff we're getting today. I think the messaging is a bit more buried than something like the remake of The Running Man. But I don't know. We're not learning anything from subtext, outright text. So I don't know. Not to get into any of that stuff. This would probably be around the middle for me as far as the recommend list. And I don't even know if I would call this a Korean movie, to be fair. Ouch. Next is Assassination. No score. Fuck you, past Charles. Assassination Choi Dong-hoon. The country falls, excuse me. The operation begins. In Japanese-occupied Korea, 3 freedom fighters are assigned a mission to assassinate a genocidal military leader and his top collaborator. But the plan goes completely awry amidst double crossings, counter assassinations, and shocking revelation about one of the assassins' past. Yeah, did myself no favors here. Sculder gave it a 3.5. Is this around? I am something of a sucker for World War II era stuff. I'm not sure if this were around the same time Japanese occupied Korea. It does look like it's around the mid 20th century. I don't know much, but I know far more about World War II than I do the Korean War, than World War I and the Vietnam War. I'm not going to say anything else that will make me seem dumber than I already am. But I might have watched this because of the time period. I left myself nothing to go on here. That's frustrating. Snowpiercer is completely fine, but I've always thought of it as a bit overrated. Well, thanks, Troy. I would agree with that. As you can tell with my 3.5 score. I don't know what to say about this because I left myself no breadcrumbs. I don't even know if I should rewatch it now. And no one I follow other than Sculder, who gave it 3.5. It's not a resounding recommend there. Oh, no. Okay. Next is The Wailing, directed by Na Hong-jin, director of The Chaser. My score is 3 stars. I don't need to tell you that I would much rather watch The Chaser than The Wailing. I might be in the mega minority there. Never be tempted. A stranger arrives in a little village, and soon after a mysterious sickness starts spreading, a policeman is drawn into the incident and is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter. Dennis says, I have Assassination and have yet to watch it, so yeah. I don't feel that bad then. The Wailing, I gave 3 stars. Let's see who else. Oh boy. Roger did rate this one 4.5 stars. Let's hear from Roger. Oh boy. Okay. Roger, 4.5 stars, watched it on the 24th of September, 2020. Boy, this sure was a thrill ride of intensity. I'm never dissatisfied by South Korean cinema. I could agree with that, Roger. Their films are intelligent, originally done, extremely well acted, and sometimes, as well as Na Hong-jin's The Wailing, a visual nightmare fantasy encased inside of a horrifying mystery. This mystery was a bit confusing for me at times to keep track of. That may be due to my unfamiliarity of certain names and the task of reading subtitles while trying to keep my eyes on the action. But all that aside, the film is an amazing experience to watch. Heck, the bombastic soundtrack alone keeps you at a nerve-shattering peak with its banging drums and air raid-sounding blaring horns. The performances are top-notch, the violence extreme, the twisting final once understanding what all exactly is happening is nightmarish. This is a must-see, another amazing film treat of South Korea cinema. Thank you, Roger, from the past. See, Roger of the past looks out for me of the present. Of what I remember of this movie, I've only seen it once. 3 stars from me. Well made. Not my favorite. And I realize I'm kind of isolated there. But you heard Roger, so yeah. A lot of people really like The Wailing, and when people talk about The Wailing, I'm like, yeah, the director made something else. Watch that too. I'm not saying don't watch The Wailing. I'm just saying, hey, keep going. Keep going with the director's filmography, please. Next, Train to Busan, Yun Sang-ho. Life or death survival begins when a zombie virus pushes Korea into a state of emergency. Those trapped on an express train to Busan must fight for their own survival. I give it 4 stars. Lots of 4 stars. Sean give it 4.5. Ryan Chataway give it 5. Roger gave it 5. Peter gave it 4.5. Solid movie. Covered this last year during 31 on 31. Very high on, it ended up being high on the average for everyone. So I think most people had it in their top 10. And the odd man out might have been Cody. I might be wrong. But yeah, if you'd like to hear more thoughts on it, it's very high for me. I know that much. I think it's top 5 for me in last year's rankings. Yes, Adam, it was last year's 31 and 31. Solid movie. If you're not a fan of watching movies with subtitles, let this movie be something of a gateway drug. You don't necessarily need to. You can enjoy this movie without being involved in the dialogue. I know that sounds atrocious to say that, but it's a brilliant action movie. I would tell people if you're having a hard time watching things with subtitles, give Train to Busan a whirl, because it's a zombie movie. The action carries it enough where you can get an idea of what's going on. Father and his daughter just trying to survive, and a couple of other people they come across in a train. Man, the Koreans love trains. AKA Cody. I'm more in line with Roger on this one. 5 stars from Roger. Looking forward to Colony from the same director. Yeah, I haven't watched anything else Train to Busan related to. I know there's been a couple of things, like a spiritual sequel, an animated sequel. I don't know. Yeah, very, very good time. If this needs to be a gateway drug for you, it's one of the better zombie movies ever, and that's saying something. Next, The Handmaiden, directed by Park Chan-wook. Here we go. We were hinting at this earlier. You're the one being tricked. 1930s Korea. In the period of Japanese occupation, a new girl, Suk-hee, is hired as a handmaiden to a Japanese heiress. Hideko, who lives a secluded life on a large countryside estate with her domineering uncle Kazuki. But the maid has a secret. She's a pickpocketing recruited by a swindler posing as a Japanese count to help him seduce the lady to steal her fortune. I gave this 4.5 stars. Keep in mind what I told you about my scoring. 4.5, 5, 4.5, 4.5, 4, 4, 3, 5, 4.5. Yeah, Park Chan-wook. Not the end of Park Chan-wook from me either. This is the first movie I watched that, like action things to look at weren't really happening that much. Like this is just a drama, if you will. The words are doing a lot of the work. There are things to look at. Don't get me wrong. Really, really, really good movie. See, The Handmaiden, which sounds like The Housemaid. I don't know how to say this without it seeming trashy. You remember the cover for The Housemaid. I don't like that poster. This movie has some erotic stuff in it, and it could be some of the classier stuff I've seen as far as giving you eroticism without necessarily using the male gaze. And the male gaze, that might be an America thing. There's stuff that happens that's pretty hot and heavy, and it doesn't feel like, we need to look at curves to understand the situation. There's crime stuff in this movie. There's erotic stuff. There's some thriller elements. Very, very, very solid movie. This might be in the tippy top for me. I'm still saying The Chaser #1. This might be #2 for me. I might say this over Lady Vengeance, but I wouldn't watch this if you're having a hard time with subtitles, because there's a lot of talking that you need to follow. That 4.5 out of 5 score from me is on not enough viewings. I reserve the right to say this could be a 5-star movie. I've seen The Chaser a couple of times, so just to clarify that. That was regarding The Wailing. Okay. The Animated was a prequel. Peninsula is the sequel. Colony has nothing to do with the Busan trilogy. Thank you. But yeah, The Handmaiden, very good. Another thing that I've noticed about these movies that I've covered, of the ones that I've given scores to and not screw myself over with no scores, no reviews. Did I review this? Nope. A lot of these Korean movies have like different genres in them, where this is kind of it's got moments where it's just a romance bordering on erotic, thriller, crime shit for a bit, just straight drama for some of it. It's wild that of the movies I've watched, you can't really call these movies one thing. Like, I don't think it's fair to just call this a drama. Drama is too much of a umbrella term anyway. Drama, comedy. You can have a comedy that does other things. And horror can be other things too. So I really like the fact that a lot of the Korean movies that I've watched, to be fair, have multiple things going on, and they're very good at different things. Where it feels like, granted, I watch over 100 American movies a year, and sometimes it feels like it's a drama and a comedy, but the comedy sucks. The things that are mixed together in a lot of these Korean movies, and granted, I might have the greatest hits here. There could be a reason that I'm not watching 60 Korean movies a year and being like, ugh, this probably is the best of the best here. So I do like the way they have multiple subgenres and really make it work. Here we go. Memoir of a Murderer, not to be confused with Memories of Murder. This is a 4.5-star movie from me. Won Shin Yun. Memories can deceive you. A former serial killer with Alzheimer's fights to protect his daughter from her mysterious boyfriend who may be a serial killer too. Trini, give it 4 stars. Hot take of a murder movies. I much prefer Memoir of a Murderer over Memories of a Murder. Did I review this? God damn it. Granted, there could be some serious personal shit that I'm bringing to this because I have neurological issues. I have a problem with memory. A lot of this stuff hits hard. Guy doing things and finding out that you did this. Not realizing that some of his memories are well, I won't get into it. I would shit. I can't put this above the other ones. This might be like the bordering case. What do I have right now? I have The Chaser, and Maiden, and Lady Vengeance. I'll put Memoir of a Murderer at 4. Scott says, I watched this based on your recommend. Amazing flick. I liked Memories better, but still very intense psychological thriller. Yeah, it's very hard to talk about this movie and not give spoilers because you think you know where things are going, and it's not that deep or anything, but for the third act, there's a reveal or two, and I really really enjoyed it. And again, I'm porting my own stuff to this. I can relate to certain things, having a conversation with someone and them saying, "Hey, remember that thing?" and just no, and being held to something that you have no memory of. It's scary. It's scary when someone's like, that thing that you did. No. Just imagine that with, being an uncaught serial killer with Alzheimer's. Where'd you hide the bodies? I don't know. What bodies? I'm a killer. It's fascinating. This is a soft, heavy recommend for me. I don't know what that makes that me think soft and heavy at the same time. Next, the most recent Korean film I've watched. 3 stars from me. Ganjiam, Haunted Asylum, directed by Jung Bum-shik. Experience the horror. The crew of a horror web series travels to an abandoned asylum for a live broadcast, but they encounter much more than expected as they move deeper into the nightmarish old building. Anyone else? 4.5, 3.5, 2.5. Oh, we went pretty crazy. Hey, look what I did. I reviewed it yesterday. 3 stars. This feels like the next logical step following movies like Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity. Now you have the YouTube live streamer aspect thrown in, and it plays well in modernizing the found footage subgenre. I mean, you have outright homages to Blair Witch Project in this. Found footage movies aren't my favorite, but this kept my interest throughout. Yep. I couldn't have said it better. Me from 24 hours ago. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't really like Gone Jam. Felt corny and cliche. Yeah. I think something's happened to me with the jump scare. I don't think that's a part of my life anymore. Like, I'm already depressed. But another depressing reality is things that I used to really enjoy and like grade movies on how scary they were. I don't think it just doesn't work with me anymore. I don't know if I have interest in it. There are people that like might grade something based on the scary moments, and there are some here, but it's just something that my taste buds have gone numb to that. There's a moment or two where it's like, ooh, that's creepy, yes, but considering the fact that it's found footage, these people live streaming YouTube shit, like doing live streams on YouTube. The fact that they were able to have like cutaways, a replay of something with one guy who's a director, editor, so on and so forth. It takes me a little bit out of it, but that's like super nitpicky YouTuber shit. And I'm sure I've aged out of the target audience for this for a number of reasons. But someone said that this is the scariest Korean movie. I hope not. I really hope not. That's all I'll say. Next, Unstoppable. I gave 3.5 stars. Directed by Kim Min-ho. A human trafficking ring faces their doom when they kidnap an ex-gangster's wife. Dong Chul and Ji-soo are happily married couple. One day, Dong Chul comes home to find his house in disarray and his wife missing. Anyone else? Dennis, 4 stars. Dennis liked it more than I did. Trini, 3.5. 3. Action movie, right? The dude, I know this dude. I've watched 3-4 movies with this dude in it. The dude from shit, I've already forgot the title. The zombie movie. Train to Busan. He's the big dude who helps them. He's the muscle in that movie. He's absolutely the muscle in this movie. I like the creative cinematography in a lot of the, I won't even say exclusively Korean. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know if international movies do this to like try to get attention, but there are crazy camera angles and throwing a camera down an elevator well to get a unique shot. In America, we've gotten, I say we, like I'm making 10 movies a year. As far as action's concerned, a little lazy. We lean a little too much on CG. Just let the computer boys work on it. But I feel like, especially when it comes to action, there's a lot of international movies that that really have some unique ways of shooting things, and they're trying shit, and um, it makes it a better watch. What the fuck is the movie I'm trying to think of that I can't? I I had a thought of a movie as an example, and my mind has just erased blank. I hate this. Um, I was going to use an example to compare for great cinematography from international stuff, if not Korean stuff, if not even, well, I don't have it. The greatest action movie of the last 20 years did some great cinematography, and I cannot tell you how horrified I am right now that I'm looking at the cover in my head and I can't see the name. So another point to the Memoirs of a Murderer. I know what I'm looking at, and I cannot think of the name. It's rather scary, and I feel myself starting to sweat, having something of a psychological breakdown. Maybe it'll come to me. Next, hey, same guy. The Gangster, the Cop, the Devil, directed by Lee Wan Tae. Don't let the left. All right, let me take a sip. Don't let the devil win. Hey. After barely surviving a brutal attack by a sadistic serial killer, crime boss Jang Dong-soo is left humiliated. Determined to catch the killer known as K, he forms an uneasy alliance with Jung Tae-suk, a relentless and incorruptible detective who often disrupts his illegal business. However, while Jang Dong-soo wants K dead, Jung Tae-suk is determined to bring him to justice. With a deal in place, whoever finds K first will decide his fate. The Hunt. Begins blurring the lines between crime and law. Watched this a couple of weeks ago and loved it. Very fun and kind of funny at times. Yeah, this is so I gave this 3.5, 4 from Dennis, 3 from Bearded Movie Guy, 3.5. This is another one of those movies that feel like a couple of different subgenres. And like each act feels like a different thing happening. Each of these characters are like their own little movie, their own little version, their own little subgenre within what each character is motivated by. Solid time. It's weird that we get closer and closer to today, and I have less and less memory of the newer stuff, which yeah, 3.5, right at the recommend border from me. And it's Korea's best action movie star as far as I'm concerned. Oh, next, Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. 5 stars from me. I did not review it though. Wow. Act like you own the place. All unemployed. He takes family, takes a peculiar interest in the wealthy and glamorous parks for their livelihood until they get entangled in unexpected incident. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars, 5 stars. Yeah. I would tell you this is must see if I didn't think it's kind of universally accepted that this movie's yet must see. This is the movie that kind of got me to be like, okay, all right. So the first movie to win Best Picture that isn't English. This is kind of a big deal. Dennis says Korea's best action star, and yet you have not seen any of the roundups. Hashtag yikes. I wrote it down. I'll try to amend it. I wrote it down. Roundup series ? I will do whatever I can to amend it. I immediately that I'm not going to say that, but it's written. I mean, it won an Oscar. It won more than one Oscar. Best Director and Best Picture twice. Best Independent. I keep saying independent. International Feature and Best Picture. Yeah, a big deal. Incredible. For so many different reasons. Still darkly funny. Yet another movie that kind of speaks to current day stuff. Another great representation of all right, just wait, Dennis. I got the list. Another movie that what was I saying? Oh, that shows pores very realistically. The family just like huddled together, having a flood in their tiny living room, kitchen. Maybe it's both. Yeah, poor people know that's what poor looks like. Not the apartment from Child's Play 2019. But, movies, they like to take credit for explaining things and warning us. And every now and again, that is true. And, we should be paying attention. But you really feel like, at least lately, I'm not saying like the rich that are represented in this movie, because it's just upper middle class, comfortable. I don't think they're the problem. I think the separation between dirt poor and very comfortably rich, it's getting worse and worse. And maybe there's a discussion to be had. And sure, the movies were kind of right. I don't know if this movie would it probably, it probably would get the attention in a different time period. Easily distracted, just so you can see it if you get around to it. Thank you. Yeah, I promise I'll write it. But yeah, I think this might have more recognition than Old Boy, which is kind of saying something. But I'm not going to put this in my must watch, only because it's kind of like implied, isn't it? Like, yeah, it won an Oscar. Watch the fucking thing. It beat out movies that you're used to watching. And then a couple of people on the internet complained because it's not English. We're not always at our best, is what I'll say, especially about the internet. Next, Time to Hunt. I think I saw this on Netflix. 4 stars from me. Yoon Sung Hyun. We became its prey. 4 young men want to leave their dystopian world behind. Dystopian. You could say that about 90% of these Korean movies. 4 young men want to leave their dystopian world behind and go to a distant paradise to execute a money robbery? What a weird way to phrase that. A daring act that will have unexpected consequences. Who else has been here? Dennis, 3 stars. I like this more than Dennis. Huh. Okay. Yeah. It's not quite what I'm going to say, but I got like Warriors vibes from this. They're different movies, sort of similar. It's a city environment with a group of people Uh, Scott says Parasite brought my love back of cinema after a dismal 2010s. Yeah, like I said earlier, I don't know if I've ever rooted for a movie at the Oscars. I wasn't at the Oscars. I mean, you know, while it aired, the way I did for Parasite, and like I audibly like gasped when it won. Like it was something like, "Hey, that's cool." It doesn't change anything about my life, but really, really exciting to see something that you think is the best and great, and other people will agree with you. How many times has the horror community said, "Why didn't this win an Oscar?" And you got to bite your tongue a little bit. um, but yeah, very rarely does the thing that you're really rooting for win. Time to Hunt action. It's baffling to me that the newer stuff on this list I'm having a harder time remembering, and I gave it 4 stars. So yeah, uh, it's got an average of 3.3. I apparently it has a release date of 2020, so it could be one of the COVID movies. And I was on a lot of antidepressants, a lot of anti-anxiety meds, which I could probably benefit from now. Um, 4 stars. It would be in the top half, I guess. I'm a disgrace. Did I review it? No. Sorry. And last on the list, Park Chan-wook returns. 4 stars from me. Decision to leave. The closer you look, the harder you will fall. I added the word will. The closer you look, the harder you fall. From Mountain Peak in South Korea, a man plummets to his death. Did he jump or was he pushed? When Detective Hae Jun arrives on the scene, he begins to suspect the dead man's wife, So-rae. But he digs deeper into the investigation. He finds himself trapped in a web of deception and desire. I give it 4 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 2.5 stars, 3.5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. Not that hot a take saying that this isn't my favorite Park Chan-wook. It's fine. If anything, this feels like the most milk toast of Korean movies. Like of the movies I've seen, that there's always some sort of crime element to it. And this feels like a movie that could be, I don't know, blended together with a bunch of crimey thriller movies of the 90s. I have not rewatched this. And 2022, that doesn't feel right to me. I might have only been able to see it in 23 or 24. But yeah, it's good. I mean, 4 stars for me. I thought something. Not like I'd leave myself a review to jar something loose on. Yeah. So that is that for my South Korean education. From old to new, we'll get through this again quickly. Some of these movies, there's just outright reviews from me. Some of them, they're part of a ranking. Yeah, I don't know what the numbers on the side mean. But so of the movies here, apparently there's 25. The tippy top, the tip of the iceberg, the best of the best that I would say if you haven't seen to see, not counting Parasite because you should have seen that. The Handmaiden. I'm gonna put A Memoir of a Murderer in there. Um, Lady Vengeance, The Chaser, and rounding out shit. Didn't I have another one? Is it I Saw the Devil? Well, I gave you 5. I thought I had 4 and was considering Lady Vengeance, The Chaser, I Saw the Devil, The Handmaiden, Memoir of a Murderer. Not counting Parasite because you should have seen that anyway. Yeah, so those are the 5. I would put The Handmaiden at the top with an asterisk. Get used to reading is what I'd say. No Other Choice. What, for the top? It's a little vague a question, and not like there's a delay or anything that I'm gonna have to uh, spin in the wind here for. That's the ones you've seen, or just the ones you like the most? Those are the movies I've seen, or these are the movies I've logged because I feel like there's other ones that I just haven't logged like an asshole. Like you can see there's a stretch there in the COVID era. I was just logging scores and not doing myself any favors. Wasn't reviewing them. I was just watching them and scoring them. Nothing else. And it's cost me. And I don't know if I'm sure there's other movies I've seen that I just even haven't registered. No. Oh. Yes. Latest Park Chan Wook. That's No Other Choice. That's just last year, right? I have not seen that. No. I know Lapsed and Gray were talking about it, and I never got around to it. I'll write that down. I do have it on my radar. It's just haven't got around to it. No Other Choice. Yeah. The movie I was thinking of earlier, I'm so glad I remembered, is The Raid. The Raid and The Raid 2. It's so wild because I saw the cover of the apartment building, but I could not see the title. The Raid, I think The Raid 2 even goes harder than that with the cinematography that goes banana sandwich. Indonesian film. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to take any flowers away. Yeah, all right. So The Raid and The Raid 2, the cinematography in that is fucking creative as hell and interesting. Dennis says, add Spirit Walker. Okay. Written, Spirit Walker. Dennis has suggested, like, counting the Roundup series, which is 5 movies now? 4 going on 5. Yeah, I might want to do something a bit more polished and a bit more, I don't know, less stammery and a bit more focused. I would need the focus to do that, of course. Maybe at 50, so maybe another 5 years if I manage to make it. um, yeah, we're at 25. Uh, Got to watch a couple of movies for the first time over the next 2.5 months, and this upcoming October will not rival um, the crime one. That's what I'll say. The crime one, there was a lot of 5-star movies in there. This October, I don't know if there's a 5-star movie that we're talking about. I don't know if there's a 4-star movie we're talking about. Brian picked a hell of a time to take a break. Hey, Adam with a channel membership. Thank you. If your non-existent gallbladder will allow it. Yeah, my remnant is what it's called. I'm glad I was able to make it 2 hours plus. My voice has kind of faltered a little bit, but we'll see how I feel after sitting down and whatever. Wavered, a little anxious at times. I just straight up lost words for a second there, but I don't like my color. Usually, the skin color and the eyes, there should be a noticeable difference. It could just be the fact that I'm surrounded by red, but jaundice is one of the problems with an infection, and now you can make out the white from my. I think it's the fact I'm surrounded by red, and the camera's just doing a bad job of settling. Just talking about personal shit at this point. Yeah, so if you have recommends of Korean cinema, like I said earlier, I own the OG Housemaid. I will put that on the list. It's in my possession. I will watch it at some point. I don't know. Maybe I could do something like this. If I do Asian cinema, I might be at 50, if not more. There's a lot of Japanese stuff that I've watched that is most of it's horror. And to compare the two would be interesting because Japanese horror is wacky and Korean cinema feels a bit more grounded, a bit more serious. That'd be an interesting discussion. I don't know how like you have a showdown because they're very different styles. But I am open to suggestions and reasoning why you're suggesting it. I do have a Taxi Driver. My uncle grabbed that for me. Haven't watched it. Sometimes it's the Bong Joon-ho stuff. Haven't watched Host. Haven't watched Mother. Those, I think, they're on a hard drive somewhere. Don't know about Host. I do think Mother is on a hard drive. Shit, is it on a hard drive that I no longer have? I forget I lost 2 hard drives since COVID. I did go on a Bong Joon-ho uncle searching run around COVID, but some of those effects are no longer with us. No control of my own. But yeah, suggestions, reasons why, ideas for other videos of this like, all accepted and appreciated. Click like, subscribe. Go watch the other videos that I've referenced because I probably had a fresher memory with these movies at those points. And yeah, hear me talk about those things with a bit more. Oh, late. Look into wrong car. Why? Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels and Chungking Express, which that there's a criterion of that, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen that. Not seen it, but I've seen the cover for it many a time in another lifetime where I was shopping for movies. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a criterion of that, or it's made by something that I've looked past it a couple of times. Yeah, wrote it down. Appreciate all the hanging out, and apologies for being late. I'd like to not take ownership of it, but when you trust a streaming app to help you, and you have the mental capacity that I do, you're at their will. So OBS, thank you for the help. Can someone please rival StreamYard for about $20 a month? I'd like 15, but I'd like free, but help. Good night.
I know it's better